Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about coming together. Fall and winter is always a time of gathering in my mind, and while it might look a little different this year, we're here to discuss ways to fellowship and make connections over food, games, shared goals, new activities, and more. Hi, Julie and Mindy.
Hi, Marie.
Hey, Marie.
Hi, Mindy.
Hey, Julie.
We're entering my favorite time of year, fall and winter.
Oh, yeah. Fall is my favorite time of year.
It's been so beautiful. Especially like Tennessee fall is just amazing. And a lot of people come here to see it, and I know why.
Yeah.
Being back here, I'm like, we're just living it up. The weather's just beautiful. The trees are gorgeous.
Yes. Well, by the time this airs, listeners, we will be well into our way of fall and even be looking towards winter. And fall and winter is always a time of coming together in my mind, of gathering people together. And it's such a cozy time of year. The weather is chilly, the days are shorter, the holidays are just around the corner. And it's also time for another episode based on just the title of a Beatles song. Last month we talked about Let It Be, and this month we're doing Come Together.
Yay! I don't know if I can sing this one, though.
I know. I think I know just the title. Come Together.
Right.
That's all I know.
That's it. Thank you. You had to refresh my memory.
Julie and I were joking before the episode. We actually looked at the words to see if we could tie them in any way. No, they do not match our topic at all. So we're just going to stick with the title, Come Together.
The lyrics are just gibberish.
Yes. And it is a time that we typically associate with getting together with people. It seems like from now until after the holidays, it's often one get together after another. But how are we going to do that this year with all that's going on in the world? How will gathering and getting together with people look different this fall and winter than it has in the past? So we just wanted to kind of talk about that today. I think we're all looking ahead at our calendars and thinking, okay, how is this holiday season going to look? How am I going to get together now that it's not as easy to be outside? So we wanted to bring you some ways and some ideas that might help you come together in a new way. So what did you guys think about this topic? Do you look ahead at your calendar and feel like, ooh, how are we going to get together this year?
Well, actually, I looked back at all my old calendars and thought, oh, this is what I was doing.
Oh, wow.
This is what I've done in the fall in the past that made it so wonderful. So I did try to think, how can I incorporate some of this? It's going to look different.
Right.
But what can I take that's not cancelable by 2020 and bring into this year to, it's going to look different. It's going to be smaller,
right?
Not as big a groups, but I think we could still do some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I was excited to think about this because we're back in Tennessee, so that's new. But I mean, 2020, everything is new all the time for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think everyone's kind of looking for ways to no longer feel isolated if you have felt isolated. I love this topic because there's so many different things that we can kind of engage in to help people come together that it's been missing. So I'm thrilled to talk about it.
Oh,
we all need it so desperately.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I feel like one of the big ways that people do connect is around food. And I think that connecting around food has definitely lessened in 2020.
Right.
But I'm starting to see it come back. Restaurants are open. I think people feel more comfortable eating each other's foods again. Like when we were getting together for our socially distanced family gatherings with extended family, we would all bring our own food because some people didn't feel comfortable. But I feel like we might be moving beyond that. Do you guys feel like connecting around food is something that you've missed?
Definitely. And just another thing that came up this weekend, we were on our life group Zoom call. And we had finished the lesson. And so, there was a little bit of time to just chit chat. And somebody kind of brought up an important topic and said, hey, what do you think about this? And how, and everybody started really, getting engaged in the conversation. And we talked for maybe just 5 or 10 minutes and we're like, okay, time's up. We got to cut the call off. And after the call, I looked at John and I said, that is what I have been missing. Like, I haven't realized it until,
Yeah.
like, I mean, we have conversations. I have conversations with women, but like as couples, like hearing all these different perspectives, like we've just been bouncing things off between ourselves and a few people. But these are people
Right.
I hadn't heard from in months. And it was just, I thought, that's what I've been missing. Like sitting around a campfire or a meal, having these discussions.
Right. I know that's been one of the joys of our life, along with fall, moving back to a place where I'll say the economy is a little bit more open, where we have been able to kind of start seeing people again, attending our church again. Like we were really missing that connection. So we've been completely thrilled to try every restaurant again that we haven't been able to try in a couple of years. Like it's been a lot of fun.
Right.
And it's so nice. So many places have adapted to outdoor seating
Yes,
that didn't have outdoor seating before, which I hope
Right.
stays, because that I always choose a restaurant that I can eat outside at. Anyway, before COVID, I love eating outside.
Me too. And isn't this the perfect time of year to do that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about like some specific meals that you might like to connect around. My kids joke that the only thing I ever make in the fall and winter for a gathering is chili.
Me too.
It's like my go-to. Either it's red or white, but I just love to make a big thing of chili. I had some ladies over earlier this week, and I said, we'll eat on my porch, and I will serve a light meal. And I had just decided I'm just going to serve chili and the chips and sour cream and stuff that goes with it. And then I think I was maybe going to make a dessert. Like I said in the text message, light. So I figured I don't need to serve all the parts. But then on the day of, some people texted me and said, hey, what could we bring? And so by the end of it, we did have someone bringing a salad, someone bringing bread, and someone bringing dessert. But, you can make it either as simple or as elaborate. You can dress it up or dress it down. There's a lot you can do with chili.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. That's funny, Marie. I made white chicken chili yesterday, and I'm looking forward to my leftovers today.
Yes. And even a few weeks ago, the boys in my family, they don't sometimes love chili. Like I said, they joke and jest, but I know they get a little tired of it. So I said, hey, how about chili dogs? So I had my husband grill hot dogs, and then they could put the chili on the hot dogs so that we could have both.
Yeah. I know chili is kind of the signal of fall in our house. Like, mom's making chili, it must be fall.
Yes.
And one of the things we put in our chili, we like it Cincinnati style, so we'll serve it over noodles. Have you ever done that?
I've had it once like that, and it is good.
Yeah, I really like that. And then you mentioned the chili dogs. I even like it over a baked potato as a leftover.
Me too,
That's kind
Julie.
of a good way to use it. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I went to the UT Knoxville games once, and Mindy, you've probably experienced this. My son went to college there, and I only ever went to one football game. But there's something that we bought there. I think it's like a bag of Fritos with chili right in the bag, and then you eat it all together. Am I getting it wrong, Mindy?
Okay, so that's Petros.
That the Petros? Yeah.
It is. It is famous. And ironically, as much as I have loved chili, and it's one of my favorite foods, I've never eaten at Petros. But now that you have said that, all of my friends in Knoxville are going to disown me. They're like, I cannot believe you've not been there. It is a Knoxville staple item. And yes, they serve it at the UT football games. Everyone loves it. I have yet to try it. Apparently, that's what I need to do. I have something, it's not a typical fall food, but I decided I had my parents in town, and Abby and her boyfriend were coming up for the day, and then I invited some friends over, and my friend Charlotte gave me this great idea to try a shrimp boil. And I have never done a shrimp boil before, but my friend Vonnie had the huge stock pot with the burner outside, like you can hook the burner up to your tank. And basically, we did this huge shrimp boil. We had a bunch of people over. It just happened to decide to rain that day, but it didn't matter. We had so much fun putting all of that together. And honestly, we have a place here that provides all of the things. I was a little nervous about buying all the ingredients and like getting it right. And everyone was like, oh, it's so easy. It's so easy, and they priced it out though at the store between like $150 and $200 just for the ingredients.
Oh, wow.
So we all know, our listeners know, we love Costco. I went to Costco and I found all of the ingredients for like $55.
Really?
And we had the best time. It's something, and it really was easy. It's a little nerve-wracking using like the huge stock pot and the exterior burner and stuff like that. But everyone loved it. I mean, we poured it out on these big pans. My friend brought over dessert, and it was simple now that I've done it once.
Well, what
Right.
did you put in yours, Mindy?
Okay, so all I did was the little red and gold potatoes, the little round ones.
Mm-hmm.
I put some onion. I did fresh corn on the cob, and I cut it into small sections. And then instead of the typical andouille sausage, Costco had a healthier version.
Oh, okay.
It was chicken andouille sausage. So it was chicken based instead of beef based.
Oh.
And then I bought the raw, deveined, peeled shrimp with the tail on it.
Frozen or fresh?
Frozen.
Okay.
And you can get those at Costco. So I got 2 big bags of the shrimp at Costco. So literally that, along with some Old Bay seasoning, a lot of butter, and salt and pepper, and you're good to go.
Oh, that sounds so delicious. And I've been to those before where they like lay it all out on newspaper then.
Yes.
And you just get to pick and eat, and it's awesome.
It was. People kept going back. I made a simple salad. My friend brought dessert. And then we just cut a fresh French baguette up. And it was just so delicious. The newspaper deal was a little messy for me. So I had 2 large trays.
Okay.
You end up pouring like melted butter over everything after you pour it out on my big trays. And I was like, I just feel better if I put trays down.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me want to go out and buy one of those outdoor burners.
Oh my goodness. Yes. It really turned out great. And it was a lot of fun, because you have people out around the stock pot. You've got people inside. Like everyone loved it. Everyone loved the food. It was delicious. And all the leftovers were eaten within like a day.
Oh, I bet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Julie, do you have a meal that you like to connect around other than chili?
Well, yeah, I wanted to share one that I just tried. I've shared before that I like sheet pan dinners because you cook them all on one sheet.
Yes.
And I saw this from a friend on Instagram, and it was smoked sausage, Brussels sprouts, and butternut squash. And you cut it all up so that they're all about similar sizes. And then you just mix a 1/4 cup of real maple syrup and a little olive oil and some garlic, and whisk that together, and then pour it over all of the meat and the 2 vegetables. And then you put a lot of salt and pepper on it, and you bake it at 425 for 25 minutes. And about halfway through, you'd want to toss it, flip everything over. And then you serve it over rice. And I found, I usually use Trader Joe's jasmine rice. This time I had Trader Joe's rice medley. So it was a medley of brown rice, red rice, and black barley. It was the best stuff.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, I made it this weekend, and I did take some pictures of it, so I'll share with it. It was so good.
That sounds great.
It was just kind of autumn heaven,
Yeah.
No kidding. That sounds delicious. I'm always looking for another way to have Brussels sprouts, and that sounds just divine.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
We ate it all.
Well, maybe we can put a link to that recipe in our show notes. That sounds really good. So listeners, it sounds like connecting over food does not have to be a lost cause. There are many ways that you can connect over food in a group this fall and winter. All right, well, another way to connect with people is around games, and you can play games outdoors or indoors. And I wanted to see what are some good family games that you guys enjoy connecting around, because I'm always looking to add to my list.
Yeah, the day that we had the shrimp boil, we had planned to be outside. We were going to have cornhole set up, and the boys were going to play basketball and throw the softball, throw the football, just fun stuff like that. But it rained. It was literally pouring outside. And so my friend Charlotte brought over a game, and it's a board game. It's called In the Bag. And we all played that around the table and just had such a great time. It was the perfect kind of rainy day game for a large group. Because, sometimes when you have more than 5-6 people, it's really hard to find essentially a board game that everyone can kind of get behind. And so this involved really not a whole lot of strategy, which are my favorite games.
Sure.
But there were a lot of laughs, and everyone loved it. So again, it's called It's in the Bag.
It's in the bag. Okay, let's put a link to that in our show notes because I'm always looking for a big group game. Julie, what do you guys like to connect around?
Well, if it's outside, we like cornhole. So if we're having a fire around the fire pit, usually that's out in the backyard. But for inside, I don't have a lot of new games, but we do like the game Codenames. Have you ever played that?
Oh, no, I haven't.
It wouldn't be for large groups, but 4 to 6 maybe. And we like Farkle, which is a dice game, and that can be for a large number of people.
Oh, nice.
And Telestrations, which is kind of a Pictionary type game where you sit in a circle and the drawings get passed around the group. It's kind of a variation of Pictionary, a lot more fun.
Oh, nice. It's called Telestrations, you said?
Telestrations, yeah. One thing I'd like to share, and we did this during a holiday dinner one year, and this is something that would be good for holidays if you're sitting at a table, that you've set the table. I put a phrase under each person's dinner plate, and they looked at it before the dinner, and then they were told to try to use this phrase in conversation sometime before the meal was over. And some of the phrases are pretty ridiculous, but some people were really good at guiding the conversation, because you really have to guide the conversation to fit your phrase in because it's usually very off topic or. And I was really surprised at how good some people were. And, you try to catch people like, was that your phrase? And sometimes it would just go totally unnoticed.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So that's really
Julie,
fun.
We have done like a variation of that. I did it at one of Abby's birthday parties, and it was super fun. So like some people had a phrase that they had to say. Other people had an action, like anytime somebody drank out of their cup, they had to stand up and clap, or, and so there were various things that people there were some action things, some verbal things, some nonverbal cues that you would have to do. And it was really hilarious, especially if you have a big table and people are kind of up for having a good time.
Yeah.
It is so fun. And by the end, you're trying to guess like what people had. Some things are more obvious than others, and
it makes for interesting conversation.
No kidding.
That's awesome. Well, we've been playing a game called Chameleon quite a bit, and that can have up to 7 people. And that's basically where you know what the clue is, and you're trying to let everyone else at the table know that you have the clue without being too obvious, because there's someone that is the chameleon that doesn't know the clue. And so they're trying to gather what it is from the other things you're saying, but you have to say something that's related enough so that the other people at the table know that you're not the chameleon.
Okay.
So my kids,
is that a board game, like a game you buy?
Yes, it is. It's not played on a board, but you pass out the cards, and someone always gets the "You're the Chameleon" card. Yeah, that's a fun game. The kids really like it. I'm not that good at it because it's hard for me to think of a subtle enough clue where I let people know that I know what it is, but don't give it away. And they're always like, "Oh, Mom, it's so obvious from what you say." So I'm not the best. I'm not the best player,
right?
But it's
everybody
still
else
fun.
has a good time.
Yeah, and we do have probably at the minimum 7 people playing any game we play. So it is good to find good group games. Another card game that we like to play is Sevens. And that is just played with cards, but it's pretty easy and you can look up the rules on the internet. But that's another one that you can play in a bigger group. I always tend to gravitate towards games with cards. I do not enjoy a game where I'm moving around a board very much. So if anyone has any great card games for a group, please email or message us on Instagram because I'm always looking for them. All right. Well, another way that we can come together is over a shared goal. And you think, well, what would a shared goal be? But I have seen like family members or friends, they come together over like running a race together. You know, they've picked something and now they're going to work towards it, or, come together over shopping, like get out for the day and have a goal in mind. It's kind of hard with teenage girls because their goal continuously moves. But maybe if you have an adult, they really are just looking for that one perfect dress.
That's true.
What are some goals that you guys have, that you guys thought of that you can connect with people?
I'll say right now, I have a part-time job at the DW Designs. So we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a different goal for me because I'm new at the shop, but they have just a very busy Christmas season, the gift buying season. And they're also looking to expand to a second store. And so I feel like even the Lord put me there for this season because they are so busy with different like events. There's a lot of events that happen for the shop, like barn sales and, small business events and things like that. And so we're already talking and preparing for this holiday season. So that's kind of a new thing that I'll come together with just my different coworkers and the owners, Dan and Dawn, to just help the business. Yeah, during this season, the busy season.
That's awesome. That's going to be fun to kind of see that from the inside out this year, Mindy.
It is. And I have to wear tennis shoes when I go to work. I'm so surprised at how busy it is. Like, this old girl gets worn out.
That's awesome. Well, Julie, what are some ways that you can think of that people can come around, kind of a shared goal this fall?
I was trying to think if I had any projects that I'd ever shared with anyone. I've mentioned before, my friend Janet always says, if you have something to paint, I'll come paint with you.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a good friend. One thing I thought about is it's fun to kind of be a tourist in your own town.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have this one friend who visits every fall with her son on fall break. And, we've done things like Civil War sites recently, or we went to the Nashville Zoo. And when she came, that was my first time to ever go to the Grand Ole Opry. And I've lived here 21 years.
Funny?
Oh, my goodness.
And so it was really fun. And next year, we're already talking about, we need to hit the Country Music Hall of Fame or the Johnny Cash Museum or the Hermitage. And I thought, why do we wait until we have visitors to do the great things in our own city? So I thought it might be kind of cool to just, with a friend or two or different friends, don't go to the same old places. Like, there's no reason that you and a friend couldn't go down to a museum.
Right.
Or there's endless options for coffee shops and restaurants here in Nashville. And, why go to the same ones when you're going to get together with a certain friend? Like, maybe make it a goal to say, let's go to a different place each time. Let's try something new that we haven't tried before. Now that things are, open and
right.
So you can discover new places.
I know, that's great. I always do like that. I think you've mentioned that before, Julie, or maybe someone else has, like, if you were going to like eat your way around your town and like try to find a new restaurant for like each kind of food that you haven't tried yet, or, just to kind of have that goal. It just kind of gives you a reason to get together. It's something fun to talk about. You can compare the different places you've gone. I could see how that would be a lot of fun.
Well, I know a shared goal the three of us have is to try to get together now that I live closer to you both. And so I'm hoping that the three of us can get together here in the next month or so and maybe even get some new pictures together. But I think that's a shared goal for our podcast, is to actually see each other in person.
In person, yes.
In person. And maybe Julie can even plan a nice craft that Mindy can do without gluing her fingers together.
I'll start thinking.
Yeah.
And we can find a new restaurant.
Yes. I'm so excited about that. So that is a fun thing for the three of us to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that you guys like to connect around is going for a walk in nature or a hike. And that's something that listeners can do really wherever you are. You can get together with somebody and you don't necessarily have to sit face to face and try to come up with conversation. It's funny how walking together, the conversation sometimes flows better.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I have a friend who works full time, but she's off on Fridays. And so, and she loves fall and hiking. So in the fall, we can sometimes be hiking buddies, like, okay, keep Friday open for a walk. And sometimes we'll go to breakfast afterwards or lunch afterwards.
Right.
It's just so pretty here and the weather's cool and the leaves are beautiful. And we even have a lot of waterfall hikes within 45 minutes of Nashville.
Right.
It's not that far, not that hard to make a day of it.
Right. Now, even when fall is past, what do you guys think about hiking in the actual winter? Is there like a temperature where you no longer do it?
After living in
hike. I don't like to hike in the summer. That's the time I don't hike is summer. So yeah, I would hike in the winter.
Okay. Mindy?
Yeah, I was saying after living in Pennsylvania, Tennessee I'm going to be outside all the time. Like
February, middle of February, really Mindy is still outside.
Living life, baby. So every season, I feel like there's this beauty to the earth, to the trees, to the ground. And to be able to experience it, even the noise level, like when winter comes, there's something about the peace of the silence. Mm-hmm. Like there's the stillness that you can enjoy. Right now, I'm loving looking at the trees changing, and I could go out every day and look at how things have changed and shifted colors. But one new place that we took our boys, Bryce and I have been there before, and it is absolutely gorgeous right now, is the Biltmore.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my goodness. We had fall break last week, and we had the typical, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home. And, and we forced Jacob and Nathan to go to the Biltmore with us one day. And we all had such a great time. It was absolutely stunning. I'd never been there in the fall. Mm-hmm. I've been there in the summer, and I've been there for their Christmas. I did the candlelight tour and all that. And so seeing in the fall, though, was absolutely stunning. And so even going there, seeing that in a different light, my boys experiencing the Biltmore, it was such a fabulous day.
That is a beautiful place. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, after living in Pennsylvania, Mindy, you have all the cold weather gear now, so you should be able to be outside all winter, all long.
We were joking. We have one huge closet. We don't have a lot of closet space in our rental home, but we have one huge closet chock full of all of our winter gear.
Yes. Well, I just want to encourage listeners. Okay, so it doesn't snow that often in Tennessee. And so I had some winter gear when I first moved down here. I had like nice warm boots and stuff because I lived in New York State my whole life. Right. Well, after, 10 years or so, those things wore out. Now I've lived here 18 years. And so last year, my son and I were in REI, and they were having their garage sale. And he was looking for hiking boots for himself. But I went over to the women's table and found some hiking boots for me. And I wasn't even looking, but they were, on their garage sale pricing, and they were nice. And you wouldn't believe what a difference walking out in the cold with those nice, warm, good boots made. So if you feel like you're going to need to be outside more this winter, it might make sense to invest in some warmer boots or better gloves or nicer hat or something, because it really does make a big difference.
Yeah, the saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing or improper clothing. It's really true. Yes. It really is true.
Yeah.
I have one other idea that is something that I did in the past that I'd like to try again, especially in the winter. There was a podcast series that I really liked. It was a Bible teaching podcast from the people that make the Bible Project. And there was a series in Matthew that probably had 20 episodes, and they were just so good. I just loved them. And I thought, I'd love to talk to somebody about these. So a friend and I started listening. She would listen at home during the week, and I would listen at home, and then we would meet for coffee and talk about what we learned. And that's something that you could do with one or two people. I mean, you could make it a large group thing, but it was just really fun to connect with her, because that's really the only time I saw her was through doing that. Mm-hmm. And so I think you could do that over a book or movies or podcasts, whatever you're interested in learning. You could get together with a friend and talk about it.
Yeah, I love that idea, because that's easier than reading a book. Like most people have time for a 30 maybe at the most an hour-long podcast. Yeah. Like most people have time while they're driving or whatever. They could get that done in a week and then meet with you. And that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
It is. It's a creative twist on the typical Bible study, and it makes it more accessible. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, coming together over books was something on my list. And I just wanted to encourage listeners. We've had a book club for several years that I'm in, but I was thinking that even if you just wanted to do like a winter book club, just pick 3 books that you think would be interesting to read over the winter. Get together a small group of people that you're going to meet once a month and talk about them. And it just kind of gives you something to look forward to. After the holidays, it can sort of feel a bit like a letdown. And so when you're in that January or that February or even that March in some areas of the country time, it might be nice to be reading a book and knowing that, oh, I'm going to talk about it and get together with somebody this month.
That's a really good idea because forming a book club for a year could be kind of daunting, but just to get you through the winter months, that's a great idea.
No, I do like that because I would not sign up for a year-long commitment. I'm like, sorry, I can't commit to that.
Right. But you might do just a 3-month or something, just to get through the colder months.
Especially if it was a fun book.
Well, that's true. Yes. And you can make it more of a fun type book. So, that's another way that people can come together in smaller groups and still have things to look forward to. Did you guys have anything else on your list?
Marie, you'll probably remember this from the last couple of years. One of our listeners, Cindy Harvey, she hosted a craft night for women. And it, several women from our church, I think some of our neighbors, you could even invite a friend. And we just had dinner that we all, it was like a potluck dinner we all participated in. And then after dinner, she had prepared a craft for each person to do. And I think the first year we did these little decoupaged tiles that were coasters. I think we brought photos. Mm-hmm. And then last year we made these little chinoiserie pumpkins.
Yes, I love those. I was there for that.
Yeah, and I really missed that this year. I thought, we didn't get to do that. But during COVID, you could still do 2 or 3 friends. Like Mindy was saying, if we get together, let's pick a craft and do it.
Right. Yes, I was actually putting my little pumpkins out this week, and I was remembering how just a year ago I was so excited to have made them, and now this year I'm using them again. And I definitely think if you're in an area of the country where you could gather outside, you could have a bigger group, or even if you gathered like in someone's garage and it wasn't too cold, you could have the garage door open, or if you're on a porch. But if you have to be inside, you could make the gathering just smaller. But I think that connecting around stuff like that is so valuable. I really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. Another thing that we have done in the past, I do this with my former homeschool moms, is at Christmas we make wreaths for our doors. So everybody brings their own greenery and just piles it on the back porch. And we all come with whatever form we want to put it on and then the wire. And we just make our own wreaths. Easily, you could just make it at home. It would be a lot less messy. Mm-hmm. But it's fun because you can share, like, oh, I didn't have any of this greenery. You can, put it all together and share it. And that's the time of year that I see those friends. Maybe that I don't see them any other time of the year, but we've kind of made that a little tradition to get together.
That's perfect.
Now, both of those sound like I might be able to accomplish those. So
you could.
You can do it.
I appreciate those ideas.
Yes, for sure. Well, we don't always have to be so planned. We don't have to have a craft. We could do something simple like connecting for coffee. And I know that I haven't reached out to as many people to maybe have lunch or get together because I've been wondering, do they even want to be around people? But I think we might need to start getting braver and reaching out because somebody's got to start somewhere and we cannot just stay in our houses all winter long.
Yeah, I think we're talking to ourselves here. It's not like that we have been doing all this stuff. We need to start. Right. I mean, I think we're trying to show that there are ways to do it during this time.
I do have a friend that just since past couple months here that sent out a text. She was like, I am missing everyone so tremendously. So she sent a text to like 5 different women. And she said, look, I'm going to open my home. I'll have coffee and bagels, very simple. I'd love to have you guys just come over. And so I went that first time and we had such a great time just going to her house and being able to talk. I mean, it feels like a lost art right now. I haven't done that in such a long time. And so she just sent out another text. And I just appreciate, that somebody took the time to be intentional and then to invite people that are comfortable. She's not providing any, major meal or you don't have to do this huge activity. It's really just, I've got coffee. I may or may not have bagels.
Right.
And we just show up and talk. Like, we all were craving it. Everyone is seems to be looking for an invitation or a way to kind of talk to people. And so that was a really neat idea. So simple, so easy, so needed.
I love that. I know that if I got a text like that, I would totally go. But I would be afraid to send out a text like that because I would be afraid of rejection. Like, I feel like there are some people that wouldn't come. And I feel like rejection during this COVID time has been huge. Like, I don't know why I take it so personally. Like, I just can't just brush it off. Like, and so I have been less and less willing to reach out because I feel like I'm going to get my hand slapped. Like, how dare you think of doing that? Or, don't you know what time we're in, but I know that, there are people that do want to gather.
Yeah, I know. I did this last year right before Christmas. I sent out a Facebook post that just said, "Is anybody want to stop by my house for afternoon tea between 2 and 4? I'm here." And I had, like scones or some kind of cake or something. And I was so nervous because in my mind, I was like, oh, I hope 20 people don't show up at once. And, and how much food to have. And I think I had 3 people. And they all came at different times. So it was kind of neat that between 2 and 4, I had constant visitors. None of them overlapped. And that was really nice. And, I was glad that it was 3. I think if 1 had come, it would have been okay. So I would really like to do that again and not even make it about Christmas. Why couldn't it be next week? If I'm sitting here having tea by myself, why couldn't I say, who wants to join me?
No, I totally. Yeah, it doesn't need to be around the holidays. And by the time this airs, people might already have their holiday plans. But, January and February can be quite the lonely time. So it would be great to do that.
I think 2020 in general has been a lonely time for a lot of people. And so you never know if somebody is just really needing an invitation or, just a conversation. And if they're not comfortable, I mean, there's different ways that we've talked about today, even that you can do, even if you're not wanting to be in someone's home or whatever, just depending on your comfort level. I think there's just a lot of different ways to try to come back together because I think it's really been missing. And if we can just have friend time, it's just crucial. I know I really missed it when I didn't have it. And it's so life-giving, even to talk to you guys once a week. I just feel like I have connected with a friend and I just feel so much better.
Yeah, I think it's really kind of leveled the playing field as far as what we think about our houses or what we have prepared. Like, we really realize now that it's not about the food so much. It's good to have food, but it's not about how fancy and all, or what your house looks like. Like, it really is the people that you're missing.
It is. Marie, you hear that? We don't have to be great cooks.
Yay! Handshakes are gone and needing to cook great is gone too.
That's right. Woohoo! So maybe 2020 did give us some wonderful things.
Silver linings.
Yes.
Well, I have to say there's one more way that Bryce and I have connected with people recently, and it's been very life-giving. And it might sound really silly to some, but to us, it's one of our favorite times every single week. We have been able to go back to a Sunday school class. Well, okay, that already makes me sound old. I called it Sunday school. It's life group, it's small group, whatever you want to call it. But I still call it Sunday school. And it is one of our favorite times every single week. I didn't realize how much it was missing. And for he and I to go, and they do socially distance in the room and things like that. So they have done it in a good way. But just to be with other couples and talk about the Bible has been just the most fantastic part of our week. We look forward to it every Sunday. I can't say that I've ever looked forward to church so much as I do right now, to be able to be with other couples and talk about the word.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I know different people in different areas of the country are in different phases, but that's so cool that you get to be in person and do that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I miss that. We're not there yet either. We're we're not in
Sure.
person yet.
Sure. I'll say some people join in on Zoom, you know, so like in the Sunday school, there's people that are present in person, and then there's people that are also present on Zoom. And then there's other classes that are too big to actually meet in person. So there's still a lot of variations, even in our own church, with how people are doing this life group stage.
Right. Well, hopefully by the time we air this, and I know that we've said this so many times in 2020, by the time this comes out, this may not even be relevant. And I do hope that what you just said is not relevant by the time this comes out, Mindy. I hope everyone's in person, but we don't know that.
That's right. That's right. Back in March, I remember saying, oh, well, the kids will go back to school maybe next month. We'll be able to be back to normal.
Yeah.
No.
Sometime in May was going to be our last COVID episode.
Right.
Yeah. We were saying, how many times can we really talk about COVID? Apparently for 6 months.
There was a lot of optimism at Midlife Matters that this would be short-lived.
And then a deep, deep depression set in. And then we're trying to come out the other side.
Yeah, we're crawling out of it now.
Well, I know that there are probably many listeners that are out there rooting for this ending too. And we do hope that today we've given you some great ideas on connecting this fall and winter. I know that I'm going to use them. I think just like you said, Julie, earlier in the episode, when we're only bouncing off ideas off just a couple few people, we stagnate. And so hearing what you guys have planned and what you're doing, and listeners, we would love to hear from you on ways that you plan to get together and gather with people this fall and winter. You can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com or come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. But before we go, we definitely want to do our I'm a fan and give you some more great ideas. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
Okay. Well, with the cooler mornings and the warm afternoons, it's all about layering your clothing. And so I happen to have a new favorite sweatshirt that I gravitate towards every time it's a cool morning. It feels like a blanket. It's from the shop that I work in, the DW Designs. And it is the coziest, cutest little sweater. It's just got the outline of the state of Tennessee and like a tri-star graphic on the front. And it's this like almost like an acid wash material that it will fade just a little bit like as you wear it and stuff, but it literally feels like a blanket. That is what I'm wearing all the time on these cold mornings, and then it's tied around my waist by the afternoon. But I'll have to show you a picture, and we can send a link and stuff like that. But it is my absolute favorite thing to wear right now.
Perfect. And, layers are it, because in the morning you're cold and in the afternoon you're getting a little bit warmer. So I can totally see how that would work. And I definitely want to see a picture. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Sally Clarkson. She has a podcast, At Home with Sally, and she is kind of a homeschooling pioneer. Yeah, she actually started the homeschool support group that I was a part of here in Nashville. She had moved on at the time I was in the group, so I've never actually met her. She has written many, many books, and one of her new books is called Awaking Wonder, and she also has a book called The Life-Giving Table. And she just talks a lot about how women are just kind of the life givers in the home and around food and table and conversation, and I just love all of that. And she has recently moved to Oxford. I'm a little jealous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Two of her children live in the UK, not in Oxford, but nearby. And I think she's there for maybe a year. And so just getting to hear on her podcast how she's setting up her house. She was in quarantine for 14 days. But even how she's there alone, I think her husband is coming, but how she's looking to make friendships. Probably in her late 60s, she's alone. She's in a foreign country, but she is planning on how she can make friendships around her table. I just really love hearing from her. Even though I don't homeschool anymore and I don't, I'm not teaching children, there's just always something you can take away.
Oh, that's awesome. That might be a good account to follow.
Yeah, that sounds
see her
great.
Adventures.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this week I'm a fan of something that will help you gather outdoors. Actually, we have a screened-in porch that's open on 3 sides. But as soon as the weather starts to get kind of cold, you can really you really do feel like you're right outside, and it can be kind of chilly. And I have wanted to get these for a while. And then somebody on a podcast, we've had host of that podcast on before, Meg Teets, but on her podcast, Sort of Awesome, they were talking about fall things that you're going to want to get. And this, she said, these are going to sell out. And, you know, in 2020, now we're panicky about things that sell out. If someone says that something's going to sell out, I like go out and buy enough of it to last me for a while.
It's true.
So she was talking about outdoor heaters, and I thought, you know what? I have wanted outdoor heaters forever. This is the perfect year to get outdoor heaters because people are going to want to be outside longer. So, of course, I jumped on Costco and Sam's Club. They were already sold out. So I went over to Home Depot and I bought the Hampton Bay outdoor gas patio heaters. And these are the ones that you see for outdoor seating in restaurants. Yeah, right. I don't know why I always thought that these were like cost prohibitive. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to afford this. But they're down to like about $150 each, which I don't feel like is astronomical if it's going to allow you to gather outside longer.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Good to know they worked so well.
They did. You know, I've already used them twice. And the first night I used them for about 4 hours straight. And my husband came home. He said, my goodness, you're going to run all the propane out the first night you use it. But we used it again last night and we still had propane. So I'm wondering, I'm kind of testing them to see, well, how long does the propane last? You know, how many hours can you go?
Right.
And of course, they have like different degrees of heat. So I imagine if you had it on high the whole time, you're using more than if you had it on a little lower setting. But I'm really enjoying having those. And it just gives me a feeling of, oh, I can have people out on my porch longer this year than I normally would have.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
All right. Well, Julie and Mindy, I loved getting ideas from you today. I'm excited to go and implement some of them. Listeners, we hope that you're excited about these ideas too. And please let us know if you try any of them or if you have any new ideas that you think we should try. So great talking with you, Julie and Mindy. We'll see you next week.
Sounds great.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.